Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Grid Watchers podcast, where two blokes complain about Formula One in all senses of the word. Today, I am joined for the very first time by TR Malta, or Callum, as he's also known as. How you doing today,
Hello.
pal?
Oh, I'm doing very well. Just gonna commentate on a very, very interesting race in the Belgian Grand Prix.
Yeah, well, as you said, Cal, it wasn't the best Grand Prix of the season. It follows a long list of Grand Prix this season, which haven't been entertaining. But of course, we will get straight to the crash at the start. That was some crash, very reminiscent of the crash in 2012, I think.
Yeah, I mean, one thing's reminiscent. It featured Alonso in it. Who I was watching that, and obviously being a McLaren fan, my head just dropped instantly because I watched it, and the first one I said was just Jesus Christ. I
Mm,
didn't I knew something bad was going to happen just from how the misshaped grid was, but I didn't expect it to be that violent. And I just looked at Alonso's car. If you look at how it hit Leclerc's top, and then you could see the engine and the fire inside the
yeah.
engine. Like it was that bad. And well, there's only one man to blame, but from reading, you can't really blame him. It's Nico Hulkenberg, isn't it, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, is it just to clarify? It was a brake issue that he had. From looking on board with Hulkenberg, he was not slowing down at all, but he wasn't going that quickly either. So, was it a brake issue that he had?
I mean, I looked at where he was braking, and I think the telemetry showed that he broke, and it was the same as Leclerc in Monaco, just didn't stop. And
Nice. Yeah.
yeah, and obviously that's something that's happened with a few teams so far this season, and obviously that's probably the worst possible place you could do it because it's also such a
Mm,
tight turn in. It's a hairpin, isn't it? And it's
yeah.
just he hit Alonso, and then the rest happened, and I think almost six cars were well, five of them were totaled in that race. You can count Ricardo and Raikkonen. I mean, obviously they were
Mm,
infected. We'll get to that later, but I mean, Leclerc. I mean, we'll get onto it. Halo. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
lucky to be alive, almost. I might be over exaggerating, but that you can't argue with a Halo now. Surely, shoot.
I mean, yeah, you can't. I think a lot of people were against it at the start of the season, and then we've seen the odd instant where the Halo could have came and saved the day, but this one is the main one where you've gone right. The Halo has saved the day there. Leclerc wouldn't have a head if the Halo wasn't there. That car was coming down and smacking him like a whack-a-mole. If that
Yeah,
Halo wasn't there, and it still annoys me the fact I saw multiple people on Twitter. I know Jamie 183 was arguing with, I can't remember his name, I think it was Ash something, but
mm.
people still arguing that we shouldn't have a Halo. And you go, what are you talking about? Also, that instant in IndyCar as well, Cal, with
Robert
Will,
Wickens.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that guy, of course, he was the one that span round, but the guy he had contact with almost got his head taken off. And I
yeah,
just mean, I'm so glad Leclerc is okay, and the rest of those, of course. But yeah, I'm so glad we have that Halo now because we
yeah.
would have had another death in Formula One otherwise.
Yeah, that would have been quite tragic, obviously, because Leclerc is such a young, talented driver, and it'd been
Mm,
tragic with anyone, but Leclerc especially, because I see him. I don't know if you've commented in your podcast previously, but I see him being like in 2 years' time being Ferrari's number, main man.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think him and Vettel will be going at it. But it's unfortunate. You brought up Robert Wickens, and thankfully he's in stable condition, but it's different for IndyCar because obviously they're going about 240 miles an hour around an oval, and you can't really have an halo there. But they've done so well with the screen I think they got around
yeah.
it,
Aero
which
screen.
which kind of helped him as well. But yeah, definitely going back to Leclerc. If he hadn't had that, as you said, his head would have been he'd have either had like a Felipe Massa spring incident where he'd be going straight for his helmet, or he'd
Mm.
have been decapitated. And honestly, I would have I don't think I would have watched F1 after that, being honest, because it just ruin everything.
Yeah,
But yeah,
definitely, definitely. I mean, we've had one death recently in Formula One, and no one wants another. And of course, Jules and Leclerc were so close together as well, as friends and racers. So it'd be horrible for them both to go out in such a way. But yeah, glad it was done. You were saying as well, Cal, how the that crash also had that followed on affected Ricardo and Raikkonen. Ricardo had no rear wing after the
Yeah.
incident, and unfortunately that was his race over. After announcing his move to Renault, that's something else we can talk about, Cal. The silly season with the silly moves around the place. We'll talk about after we talk about the race, but apart from the start, that was about it, Cal. I mean, there was nothing really else going on unless we had Bottas doing an overtaking challenge from the back to front, but that was about
Mm.
it really. And Verstappen a little bit of overtaking as well, but it wasn't the greatest of races.
Yeah, I'll be brutally honest. I mean, it was an absolute just. It was the same as what Hungary. It was just completely anticlimactic at the start for Hungary, and then it got interesting until that major drama. It was that was drama at the end. This was drama at the start, and we had nothing but around that apart from Ricardo, like, and as you said, no, sorry, Verstappen
Mm.
and Bottas. And the thing is, it brings back the old like thing, like F1, like it's just getting not predictable, but boring, like really boring. Like
Yeah,
to just watch
yeah.
that. Be honest, I was flicking through the channels, seeing what to watch, like halfway through that race, because it was just, it was there was I understand, like obviously it's going to get drawn out because of the pace difference between the cars, and I mean, you're talking about just apart from lap one, because I watched lap one and there was the run up to the Kemmel Straight, and I was out of my seat thinking that Force India were going to get
Of course, of course.
yeah, that was incredible. But yeah, apart from that, the race was just dead. Like it was.
Mm.
I mean, even Bottas going around, like the outside. I mean, the one thing I'd say about that actually, Bottas's move. I think it was I can't remember who it was on. I think it was one of the Haas's. Like honestly, like that was reminiscent of Weber and
Yeah,
Alonso,
yeah, I was gonna
wasn't
say.
it?
Yeah.
2011. Like that was probably the only bright thing apart from that. Like it's the only bit of action I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I've said previously on the podcast how F1 does not appeal to me anymore as much as it used to. I will happily watch other motorsports, be it touring cars, world endurance, even IndyCar, NASCAR, because at least there's some sort of overtaking, even if they're going round in circles. I mean, hopefully those regulations next year come in, but from what I've seen from experts, it's not going to make too much difference. I just hope the class gap between the top runners and the other runners does close next season and as the seasons go on. But I mean, it's so difficult for a small team like Force India. We've seen going into it almost out of the sport, and likes of Haas and Sauber trying to compete with the likes of Mercedes and Ferrari, who have essentially got unlimited budgets.
Mm. Saying that, I was speaking to a few of my friends earlier, and they were talking about the budgets, and I think, I don't know if it's for next year or 2021. There's a budget cap coming,
Okay.
which could be an equalizer. Don't get me up on this. I need to go and I'll probably have to check my research, but I heard something around there, rumors about a budget cap, which obviously will mean that Ferrari and Mercedes and Red Bull won't be able to spend as much as they want to, which in my eyes could like put more equality into the sport when it comes to like uh just how fast they are. But it's just for now, just watching it, that you can tell. I mean, it's just been. I mean, it's much closer between the top teams, which is nice this year because there's a bit more of a rivalry that we've seen in the
Yeah.
previous years. But it's just three teams, and well, actually two teams in most tracks, but then three teams in all of the tracks, and then you've got the midfield. I mean, there's no comparative between them. I mean, look at Bottas against the Force Indias. Force Indias last year would have probably kept but Perez would have probably kept fourth with the way the
Mm.
car was. I mean, it was an amazing car, but this year, literally, Perez was a sitting duck, and all he could do, he even said on his radio, he was pushing his fastest, but he couldn't really do anything.
Yeah, it just shows the difference in class between the top two teams and the rest of the pack, unfortunately. But again, it was a good win for Sebastian Vettel. That Ferrari was very quick this
Mm.
weekend. Lewis couldn't keep up, and Vettel closes that gap down to 17 points. What are your thoughts on the fight for the 2018 title? Is it going Hamilton's way or is it going Vettel's way? If you're looking at the next couple of races coming up.
Well, obviously, we've got Monza next, which I think will probably be a Ferrari track. The straight line speed of Ferrari this year has been amazing. Like, it's been much better than last year, which is what they need to do because Mercedes were on top when it comes to straight line speed. But now Ferrari they look much better in that kind of area. But you could see, obviously, through Spa, the Mercedes was much better in the corners. So obviously, I can't really say who I think is going to win because there's been 5 changes in the lead so far this year, which is mad.
Mm,
I mean, we've had half the season. Well, we're just in the second half,
yeah.
and I just feel, for me, I feel this it's going to be down to who makes the least mistakes because
Yes.
I know
Yes.
Hamilton is consistent. Vettel, I think this year will probably is faster in my opinion. Brutally honest, he is faster, but he is less consistent. Hamilton is consistent. I can't tell you. I'm on the fence. I can't tell you who's going to win because I think it all depends on who makes the less mistakes. We saw last year Vettel was in it until Singapore and then he messed it up with his teammate. You know,
Mm,
it was that close, and now there's 17 points that I can easily got with one bad race for Hamilton. I can't tell you, Chuck.
yeah. I mean, it is super close, and that's I think one thing that keeps me watching the sport is the title is very close, but racing. Maybe not so much. But I think that sort of rounds off the race. I mean, Cal, there wasn't that much, like we said already. There wasn't
Yeah.
that much going on. We've got plenty more to talk about in this episode of the podcast. So if you guys are enjoying, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and let us know all your thoughts on all the topics we do talk about today. But we'll move on to the we'll do driver movements first, Cal. Of course, just before um, the the race, well, not to say just before the race, a couple of days,
Mm.
Gasly confirmed at Red Bull. We've had Ricardo to Renault as well. What are your thoughts on the movements and the potential movements still in the paddock to come?
Well, obviously you mentioned the two Gasly to Red Bull and Ricardo to Renault. I think that's very good for Red Bull's sake because they're using their driver, their driver movement. They've already brought Max Verstappen up from Toro Rosso. Now Gasly gets his chance, and I think for Ricardo it's a massive gamble. He's got he's just left the team, which is going to an engine which arguably has been quite good this year with the Toro Rosso. So obviously, Red Bull could be, better than this year
Mm,
potentially because if they've got that chassis plus the engine, it hasn't been that unreliable. I mean, the only thing I'd probably say is that the Toro Rosso have had more engine parts replaced, but that's mostly because of crashes, and that's, well, I mean, you can't really blame that on the engine.
no.
But I'd say with Ricardo, he's taking a gamble because you don't know if Renault, sorry, are going to be that there next year, or whether it's going to be a few years to take. Well, it's going to be a few years patience because he's what is he 27, 28. He's getting to the prime of his career, and he doesn't
Mm,
want to be stuck in a mid-table team. And don't get me wrong, Renault have been amazing like this season for like what they can do. They're top of the mid pack. They've got some really good results from the teams above messing up. I mean, they've got Mr. Consistency Hulkenberg there in their P7. It'll be good for Ricardo to have him there, but I just don't know if that car's going to be there. And one we missed out was Carlos Sainz to
of course, of
McLaren.
course.
Obviously, a Spaniard replacing a Spaniard in Alonso leaving. Sainz is going to be looking to to prove to everyone that he can do it. And obviously, he's shown that he's quite good in that Renault. He's not as consistent as Hulkenberg. That's probably the reason why they're keeping
Mm,
Hulkenberg. So I think obviously he wants McLaren to be good next year, but I don't know. Like again, I'm a McLaren fan. I've got so much skepticism on whether they're going to be good next year. This year, I know that they're just probably the second worst team in the on the paddock. They've not done anything with the car like since
mm,
Australia. It's got worse, as Van Dorn has said. And speaking of Van Dorn, we don't even know where he's going to be next season. Like potential movements as we were talking about. He might be going to Sauber. There's so many seats that are that are not official yet. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
mad, as
annoying.
you said. It's silly.
Yeah, a silly season. Yeah, I mean, is Raikkonen confirmed for next season for Ferrari, or is he not? I can't remember if they
I
said it.
think he is. I
Okay.
believe that he's confirmed for 2019. He signed on for 2019, but then probably after that, 2020 is going to be when definitely when Leclerc moves up. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just thinking maybe Sauber with they've got obviously got Marcus Ericsson, but since they've got the Ferrari backing now, will they really need Ericsson sponsor money? That's the problem. Like
Yeah.
for him, and that's why I'm thinking Van Dorn might go to Sauber.
But what would Van Dorn offer Ferrari and Sauber? That's the thing, because he doesn't bring any money to the team. He is a young driver from the McLaren setup, so I don't know if they'd take him. I mean, I'm more looking at what Ocon's gonna do now, because
Mm.
essentially Stroll has got that Williams seat, and of course Ocon was a young driver for Renault. He is also a Mercedes member as well.
Mm.
So where's he gonna go now? Because of course, I mean, could he go down to Williams and replace Stroll? I mean, that would be a big step down. But of course, Williams have a relationship with Mercedes, so I'm not sure what Ocon's gonna do. I think that's the key one for me, being one of the better drivers on the grid.
Yeah, he's far. Oh, sorry, my mic's connected. He's one of the best drivers in the grid, I'd say, on pure talent. I don't know where he's going to be next season. Like, we were talking about that. Definitely, I feel that he should be at Force India or higher. But then you've got Bottas. Bottas is showing to be a good wingman, and I
Mm,
just think that he's probably going to be. He'll have to go down to Williams because obviously Ocon, no, Perez is staying with his money at Force India,
yep,
and Stroll obviously with Lawrence Stroll buying out Force India. Now he's gonna get his son in there.
yep.
So I hate to see it, and I really don't like using the word pay driver, but Stroll, in my opinion, is a pay driver.
Oh, there's
He's
no
got in
doubt.
on his
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got in on his dad's money, and I think Ocon, just on pure talent, should be at a better team, but it's not going to happen. It's like Pascal Wehrlein. He got forced out of the sport because he didn't have enough sponsor money, like
Mm,
to replace the likes of Ericsson.
yeah, of
It was
course.
ridiculous, if you
Yeah.
know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, he's gone back to DTM, a series he previously won, of
Mm,
course. I'm just looking at the other moves. I mean, you've got just thinking of guys coming up into the sport. You've also got George Russell and Lando Norris, two
mm,
Mercedes and
McLaren.
McLaren drivers respectively. Could we see them coming up potentially into the sport, Cal?
I think Russell will be a reserve driver. I think he'll stay a reserve driver for Mercedes until they really deem him to be a better fit than Bottas. Because I don't think they get rid of. I think the only person who will get rid of Hamilton is himself. Because obviously he is arguably the best driver in the grid, depending
Yes.
on who you support. But then you've got Norris. I think he'll get a seat next season. That's
Yeah.
why I'm thinking that Sainz is going to McLaren. I think just on pure, like, they're already putting him in the FP1 car. I think obviously Van Dorn's got pissed off at that. He's seen that, and obviously he made the comments before saying, "Don't compare to me when you ain't got a good car." And
Mm,
obviously Norris is coming up. He didn't look that bad, and I think he'll be a good fit for them. But I think I don't want him to be up just yet. I think we need to give him another year because it's like I don't like to see them bringing up people unless they've got the talent to come up, like
yeah.
purely there. Like I think Leclerc's shown that he's got the talent to be a world champion. I don't think, being honest, Lando Norris is that kind of person.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it's so difficult to know. I mean, I don't know his previous path. I know he's gone through Genettas and I know he's done British Formula, but I don't know. Did he win F3 or was that Russell last season? I can't
I
remember.
think he was in it. I think he was not F3, but the other one.
Oh,
I think it was
GP3.
GP3. Yeah, and then he's come up to F2 now, and
Mm,
obviously he's second in that, which is a really good thing for him. Obviously, it shows that he's a good driver. But I just don't think I think it's another season there before they can call him up, if
mm,
you know what I mean, and
okay.
give Van Dorn another chance.
Yeah, it's so difficult to get that second chance in F1 though, because there's only so many seats available. I mean, who else is there on the grid? What do we? Sorokin? Do we think he's staying at Williams with the money he brings in?
Probably, I think. I mean, he brings in a lot of Russian money. Like, they got big sponsors like Kvyat. He had a massive sponsor, but he also had the drive to do it. I don't think that Sorokin's good. I don't think he's as good as like everyone puts him up to be. I think he's been very. He hasn't outshone Stroll at all this season. I mean, he finished ahead of Stroll, well in Belgium, but he's not been at all like anywhere apart from bottom five. I mean, Stroll at least has shown
Yeah.
in the tracks where Williams have been somewhat competitive. like for example Azerbaijan, that he deserves that. He's not a bad driver, Stroll, but they're both, in my opinion, shouldn't be in the sport yet. I think Sorotkin's been brought in just pure for his money because Williams are desperate, and I
Mm.
just don't think Sorotkin should be there. But he will be there, in my opinion. He'll be there next season just purely because of his money, like Marcus Ericsson.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing these days about Formula One is you need money to get places, and there's so many good drivers who just haven't in lower, I know in karting and sort of Formula
Hmm.
Ford who can't get in the sport because they haven't got rich dads or enough sponsors. So unfortunately, that's the way motorsport has gone. But the
Yeah.
final team is Haas, Grosjean and Magnussen. I personally think Magnussen will stay. Grosjean is my questionable seat. He could go because of his inconsistency in a Formula One car.
Yeah, I believe that's, it's a fair call. Like, obviously, he had an absolute shocking start to the season. Didn't score in the first six or so rounds, I think,
Yeah.
which was obviously that's quite disheartening. But he had a good comeback. He did very well in Germany to capitalize on the bad form of Vettel or the mistakes from Vettel, and he did quite well. This qualifying as well. He like the Force Injuries, he read the situation and got up to P5, which is really good for a Haas. And I think Max has been very consistent this season. Extremely, he deserves that spot. I think they'll give Grosjean, if Grosjean can have a good second half of the season, then he'll keep his spot.
Okay. That's a very, very fair point. But let us know where you think drivers will go, who's coming up, who's coming down, in the comment section below. So the next topic I want to talk about is the recent release of Formula One 2018 on PC,
Mm.
Xbox, and PlayStation 4. And already, Cal, it is plagued with bugs, especially online, with multiple problems. If you're on Twitter, I'm sure you've seen. If you're part of the Twitter F1 community on Twitter, you must have seen people tweeting about bugs and all sorts. And I just playing it. I've had quite a few glitches already, Cal, and I just feel ripped off. And I know people said don't buy the game, and to be fair, I should have listened, but I didn't. I think next year I'm not going to bother. But again, Cal, we're disappointed with another iteration of the game.
Yeah, it pisses me off as a league racer and as a just a general lover of the F1 game. I've been buying this game since 2010.
Mm.
I've bought every copy. I think every copy since 2009. I even had it on the Wii. Like that's
Oh,
how much I
bad
love these
game.
games.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun, but it was bad. But it's just the fact that every time they don't listen to the fans. Like
Mm.
they listen in some respects, like the career mode. But the thing is, the career mode is one aspect of it, and I know a few people made a I think well I mean Ash who's on this podcast sometimes he made a good point about it. Just if we give them attention, no, if we give them the the good attention, like stop like calling them out, and we don't buy the game, then that's fair enough. But if you're like me and you love the game, like you love the sport and you want to play the virtual version of it, you really want to see them put more effort into it. And they've
Mm.
had a year to figure out the desyncing issues. I mean, I've not seen it this bad since 2013, where
Yeah.
where for example, you versus someone in Australia, there'd be like 10 car lengths ahead, and then you would spin them out for some reason. It's that bad in some cases. I've seen a lot online, especially on Twitter, and it's not going to change unless someone does we do something about it as a community. I I won't. I'll be blunt. Cody's as long as you buy the game, they're like every other company. They don't give a shit. Like I mean, I've looked at the amount of people I've seen with Thrustmaster wheels, how complaining in the forums about it not about their turn-in feeling like a pad. I mean, that is tragic. If a wheel feels like a turn like a pad, then it's just ridiculous. I mean, I don't know what you get, what ones you've got, Duke, but I've seen like these thinking issues. I've seen the same things like the names going off, people leaving, and then alien. Basically, everything that 2017 had is this, but worse. I honestly want to go back to 2017. That's how bad this is.
Yeah, I mean, I was making a video earlier, a career mode I'm trying to set up. So I went back on
Mm,
2017, and it just felt so much better on 2017. And
mm.
it shouldn't be like that. I should feel I'm on a new game, and it should be better. And like you said, there've been so many issues, and I think unless we don't buy the game, they won't change. And I mean, the problem is that Cody's appeal to a generic audience who will sit there and play day after day after day of career mode, and that's how they make the bulk of their money. And
Yeah.
unless the we let people get hold of those people and go, right, stop buying the game, otherwise it's going to end up the same every year, nothing will change. And I thought, okay, F1 esports it's really picking up this season, they're going to fix it. And no, it's like you said, Cal, it's been worse. And it's going to ruin someone's chance of winning a lot of money and a lot
Mm.
of fame in esports. um, and it's not going to be fair on that person.
Yeah. I mean, I was speaking of that. I looked at last year's one. I mean, I don't know. I think it was Maximilian Beneke who basically on a LAN server disconnected. I don't understand how you do that. Like it
Mm.
was that was on 2017. So I thought, as you said, esports. Obviously, they're going to try and make it better. You can't. I've not been in a 20-man lobby yet that's not had desync and mass disconnections. I I see. I've memed as well on Twitter. I've memed it to shit, and I think I've seen a lot of people do it. But that's what you can do, because if you put it in the complaint forum, they're just going to be like, nope, just buy our game, just don't bother, just buy the DLC. Come on, just like it's not. It's just like I don't expect that from someone like Cody, who claim to be with the fans, and they're not at all. They're just.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know that I know some of the people in Cody's are nice guys, and yeah, but it's just not. They won't listen to anyone. I mean, that's the problem, and that's why I've got almost sick of this game, and I don't like blaming games too much, because I know sometimes it can be on just it can be things that you can't help. But when it's something that everyone's like the people that Codes have known, they've known it themselves that it's been it's this decent issue's been a problem. They don't
Yeah.
fix it. They had a year to do that. It's just
Yeah. Yeah, it's just disappointing when
about it, man.
and people. I mean, I'm fortunate to have a job which brings in a lot of money, relative to my status, at the moment. But there are people who save up for weeks and weeks and weeks. Younger kids who only get a little bit of pocket money to then spend 40, £50 on the game for them to be shite, and it's not fair, um, to do that. And I think, like I've said, people need to stop buying the game. And I mean, I'll hopefully be on iRacing on a PC by Christmas
Yeah,
time, so I won't have to touch the game anymore. I know that iRacing has its own problems, but it is a lot more stable than F1, and again, it'll be cleaner drivers and the rest of it. But that comes with
yeah.
buying a more professional game. But yeah, I sort of run out of words really, Cal, to talk about Formula One, because it's just frustrates me. Um, it just annoys me so
I,
much.
I, I don't know. Feel like you're just putting the video, but it's just Lee Mather smiling at us just while we're talking about this. That's just what I
Rolling in
think
money.
now. Just just he's just smiling at us now, just like, haha, you're complaining about it, but you
Uh,
can't do anything about it. And the thing is, I don't want to complain. I don't. I want to have a good. I know there's going to be problems all the time. Like that's how this game is. But if they can if they can like minimize them to the point where it's just like once every few like turns, not just every time you go into the game, it's just gonna screw you over and just send you off into Narnia, like that
yeah.
kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, as you said, I mean, I'm gonna go into sim racing in the next few months. I can't be arsed with this shit.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just problem after problem, and like you said, and we both said, and Ashley, who's usually on the podcast, told me don't buy it. You know what will happen. And what did I do? I went and bought it. So I should have listened to him. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I bought two.
you bought.
I bought two. I bought a PC and Xbox copy. How do you think
Oh,
I feel?
oh, you fool. Well, let us know your thoughts on F1 2018 down in the comments as well. Have you had any glitches or bugs, or has your game been completely free of it? Let us know below. But before we do a preview of the Italian Grand Prix, which happening in a few days, we just do our driver and dick of the day for the Belgian Grand Prix. And Cal, of course, you're the first time on the podcast, so it can be anyone. It doesn't have to be a driver. It can be any person over the weekend. And so, who is your person and dick of person of the day and dick of the day?
Yeah, I'll say person. I'm gonna go for a driver,
Okay.
and I'm gonna say Sergio Perez because
Yeah.
I just think it's really good for Force India that they've got off the mark. Then they've wiped the clean slate. It's all gone now. The problems in the past. It's now that they've got points now. Like that's pretty good. P5 for them. That's a really good result for Force India. And considering the whole weekend, it was a very very nervous time for them. And honestly, I'd say definitely I'd say the whole of Force India. That's just a driver of the day. Team of the day. I'd say. But if you're gonna go for a dick of the day, I'm gonna go and say to people on Twitter, as we were talking about the Halos, those pricks who were saying that the Halo's not needed. I know you might want clean, fair racing. You want action racing, but I'd rather not see a person die while I'm watching a Grand Prix
Hmm.
than
Yeah, yeah.
see someone's head go into fucking Narnia. Pardon my language, but it's just yeah, it's yeah, I'm those people on Twitter. They're just the non-Halo guys. I mean, I understand that it looks ugly, but then you got to do what you got to do for safety. But that's my team of the day and my dicks of the day.
Very good. Very good. I'm gonna go. My driver of the day is going to be. Well, you went Paris, so I'm gonna go Ocon. Again, same
Hmm.
reason as you given. He's for the situation they're in, and for them both to finish in P5 and 6 is a brilliant job
Hmm.
for them both. Hopefully the car and the whole team gets going again very soon and next season, of course. And my dick of the day, I didn't watch the race live, so I didn't really see it. You're a very good point making about the people who still complaining about the Halo. I think I'm going to go Lewis Hamilton for
Hmm.
his complaints about Ferrari,
Oh
saying they have
yes.
trick things on their cars, and I'm going, they don't. They will go to the regulations. Ferrari doing fine, and just because Ferrari was quicker this weekend and Hamilton wasn't number one. I think he, of course, like any driver wants to be number one, but Hamilton especially always wants to be number one, wants to be in the limelight. Hashtag blessed, and the Belgian fans are the best fans in the world, and the rest of it. So yeah, I think Hamilton's gonna be my dick of the day, and Ocon, driver of the day. But let us know your thoughts on that in the comment section as well. Don't forget to do that. But we will preview the Italian Grand Prix, which is next weekend, the home of the Tifosi, the Ferrari fans, of course, Ferrari's home race in Italy. Are you looking forward to it, Cal? Because I certainly am. Hopefully, you have some lovely overtakes down the lovely long straights we have in Italy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it in some kind of way about obviously the long straights, but I just think it's going to be the same as in a way it's going to be the same as Belgium because obviously you've got the long straights, the back straight, and you've got obviously the camel straight. But I just think it's going to be more of a pace gap. You're going to see someone like the McLarens being lapped on lap 1920. That's how bad it's going to be for me. But I think it's going to be fun at the start. It's going to be there's going to be a lot of chaotic action. I think especially the Force Indias. Watch out for them. They'll be obviously the straight line speed, but yeah, I definitely think that yeah, it's just going to be a battle between Ferrari and Mercedes up front. Like no, it's going to be exactly the same as Belgium. I feel.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with you. It's going to be who puts the right car server on and down those straights, and yeah, Ferrari and Mercedes. I sort of hope Vettel does win it again, just to close the points in the
Mm.
table. That's really about it. I mean, I'll probably watch something else over the weekend. That's something more entertaining because I know it won't be that entertaining. And like you said, cars will be overlapped very soon around the track, unfortunately. But I mean, going for predictions wise, Cal, who are you fancying for pole and the top three?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Vettel pole because of the fact that I think he'll be able to get it there. Just I think he'll get on point. I think obviously he's got the Tifosi, the Ferrari car behind him. Everyone will
Mm,
be behind him. It'll be like Hamilton in Britain. He'll be
yeah,
blessed. He'll be
definitely.
going for it. And I think he'll get the win, but I think Raikkonen will challenge for second, and then I'll be Hamilton third. And the reason I say Raikkonen second is because, again, the Ferrari is quick in a straight line, I feel, and I think he will be ahead of Hamilton just on purely on the pace of the car,
Yeah.
like around the track. I think Hamilton again will complain. That's because he always complains when he's not winning. But it's just, I think, first Vettel, second Raikkonen, third Hamilton. That's my poll on top three.
Okay, interesting. Okay, bold decision with Raikkonen, but I totally get why. I think again I'm gonna follow you. I'm gonna say Vettel for pole, but then I'm gonna say Hamilton to win, Vettel second. I was going to say something a Red Bull, but they're not going to get on the podium with their lack of straight line speed.
You never know.
Well, yeah, you never know. Well, Lance Stroll got on P3 in qualifying last season, so anything
Yeah.
can happen. Um, I think I think I'll go Bottas, because he is a sensational wingman to Hamilton, as Toto Wolff said. So I'm going to go with Bottas for P3, on the podium. Um, so just to finish off the podcast, just wanted to go quickly run through the F1 fantasy we have. Of course, if you do win the F1 fantasy, you will win 40 lovely pounds in your bank account. So currently, I'm still winning by over 120 points. Um, I don't know how I'm doing it, Cal. Really, I'm going to be honest. I'm not very good at predicting because none of us on the podcast have ever had a prediction right, with the poll and the podium.
Mm.
But somehow I'm very good at F1 Fantasy because I'm winning. So we got myself in first, Ted Pett F1 Racing Team in second, Burnout in third, Faf Racing in fourth, and Blue Flag Racing in P5. So don't forget to update your team before the Italian Grand Prix, before qualifying starts. Otherwise, your changes will be invalid. So don't forget to do that before qualifying. But Cal, I think that's everything we've covered. I don't think I've missed anything out.
Yeah. No, we got everything in. We've done everything. We've done the preview and all that stuff. Yeah, we're good now.
So, guys, that rounds off the podcast for this week. Thank you ever so much for listening or watching, depending on what you're doing on YouTube, iTunes, and Podomatic. Don't forget to follow us on all of those platforms. Follow us on Twitter as well at Grid Watchers Pod. Don't forget to follow Cal down below for some spicy memes, as he likes to tweet a lot of the time, which is always a good thing to see on your timeline on a Monday morning.
You flatter me. You flatter me, Duke.
It's all right. Gotta give you some sort of satisfaction after joining me on the podcast. So I thank you for doing that. Of course, don't forget to check out myself and the podcast, like I said in the description. And we'll see you next week for the post Italian Grand Prix podcast. And of course, F1 2018 will most likely come up once again with some more glitches. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week. Good night.